if you're listening, this is the Friday episode of with Marchese and Buller, where we talk about horror things, horror writing, horror books, horror short stories, horror movies,
horror soundtracks,
and anything else we want.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about Jimmy Hendricks. Now, Jimmy Hendricks taught himself how to play guitar, okay? He was a self-made guitar player, pretty much, and he rewrote the game plan for a lot of people. Can you do that in writing, in the writing world, the literary world? Can you be the Jimi Hendrix of writing? Or, you know, because there's always people that have gone to college, you know, their prose is perfect and every sentence structure is great. You read the story and you're like, well, what is this? Okay, then you get the people sometimes who their grammar's terrible. The person's like, wow, but this is a great story. You know, I really got into this. They're holding me captive, and the person may know how to do the techniques, but don't know what the terms are. They don't know. It's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. You just don't don't do this.
But why don't I do this?
I'm just telling you, I know. Don't do this. Right?
Yeah.
You don't know what the terms are, the terminology. The person who got the course or got the education for it, they know all the intricacies, but you still understand on a basic level what you need to do. I call that the Jimi Hendrix of writers. What do you think about this?
The self-taught thing, I think it is possible. I think I'm kind of self-taught. I was very good at creative writing at school and then at college. I was in like a special class for people who were pushing for like the top grades. So every so often on my lunch hour, I used to go and take extra English tuition. But that was like when I was 16, 17 or something. I didn't write again until I was 34 or 35. Life got in the way. It was something that was on a bucket list of mine. And I thought, right, well, I'd like to write a story at some point. I'd like to get published, even if it's just one story published. You know, that's part of the bucket list. But the bug bit me, and I just carried on sort of writing stuff. But I didn't understand all the terminology. It's quite embarrassing to admit, actually, that, you know, when I started, I could not tell you what an adjective was. I'd struggled to remember what a verb is. All the terminology, the basic terminologies, I just didn't know.
Or even let alone passive sentences, because remember that was like a whole thing.
Yeah, it's like, what's a passive sentence? I could not spot a passive sentence when I first heard about them. And you just kind of pick it up with a bit of experience and just sort of working along. I'll never be an English teacher, but I kind of know when I'm writing stuff down, as you said, what sounds right and what doesn't sound right. I know the basic rules of grammar. I know the way sentences should be structured. Mm-hmm. Though when I first started writing, there was commas everywhere, man. It was just ridiculous. But I've kind of rein that in as well. But I'm self-taught completely. I don't think I've read besides On Writing by Stephen King, which I only read like last year. I've never read any sort of guides on how to write or anything like that. And I'm certainly not educated in recent times anyway in terms of creative writing.
I do find those things interesting. Like sometimes I go to English websites and they teach you how to put the sentences together. I don't go crazy with it because sometimes that can ruin you too. I've had a couple of people tell me that sometimes college can ruin you because the teacher wants you to write like they do. Now, unless they're telling you to go write a story and then they'll critique it for you, I think that's the proper way to learn. Grammar should be something that you pick up here and there, but you don't have to know every single little part of syntax and all this stuff, because, you know, if your story's good and the editor feels that it can be sold, obviously you don't want to have something that's terrible. It can't be really bad. But if it's clear enough and you read enough and you certainly write enough, you should get the hang of it and the gist of it. To be honest with you, I feel it's good definitely to know certain basic things, and you get people who have gone to college and they know the difference between someone trying to push their way of writing on you and then also you being, you know, whatever. But it's good to have the knowledge too as you go. But sometimes you just have the knack for it. Sometimes it's just something that you have. You have a way of storytelling. And as you keep pushing with continuity and just perseverance, you're going to retain a lot of knowledge about, you know, writing. So I do feel that Jimi Hendrix of writers idea does have weight.
Oh no, absolutely. I think you can have an education. You can go to university and do creative writing courses and stuff, but have no heart. You can understand the grammar and the way sentences be laid down, but you're devoid of ideas and you're a little bit stale when it comes to coming up with something new. I don't think being educated necessarily means you're going to be good at something. You know, you can be educated at something and not be particularly good in terms of like practicalities of doing stuff.
Or characters, like, you know, you don't have characters that are interesting. You don't have things that'll keep the reader engaged. And I'm not saying that's always the case. It's just more than likely you're if you're putting most of your eggs in that basket, sometimes, you know, it's the case. Well, what do you think about the Jimi Hendrix of writers? Do you feel that you have to be taught and you have to go to these classes and learn every single term? Or do you feel, listen, I'm going to read a lot, I'm going to write a lot, I'm going to do a blog, I'll just get all this stuff out and I will learn as I go. I will jump off the cliff, as the saying goes, and build my wings as I fall.
That's it. Which one is it? Which one's it going to be?
So leave your comments below. Let us know what you think.
Are you naturally gifted? Or are you just like me?
Eloquently put. And that wraps up this week of shows, and we will talk to you next week, where we are planning to read a short story and give a little review. So we'll see you next time, and
it's all with Marchese and Paul. It's all with Marchese and Paul.
sucks. I'm going to cut all that out because I don't even know where I was going with that. But what do you think the Jimi Hendrix of writers stands to? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Give a little review to, you know, to up.
Have some of this. Spider Man.
Okay. And it was like, you know,
when I first got, but I know, though honest, but I've
learn, you know, little part of, and
yeah.
you know, you know, whatever. But as
to you know,
and you know, they're you know, and
like so
yeah, you will that to you know.